as we mentioned previously, I wrote a book. Here it is here. Oh, hello. This is the book that I kind of refused for a very long time to write. Because as I said before, she's so single, she wrote a book about it. Like, in my vision of success for my life, this was not what I wanted to be when I grew up. It was like a professional single person. Like, I'm, an expert at singleness, which, anyone have that on there one day, I hope? I didn't think so. But here's why I wrote the book. As I'd said before, when I found myself single again, and at the time I got called into ministry, into vocational ministry, and so it afforded me a different perspective of seeing that church is a very family-oriented organisation or community. And, well, we should be, champions of marriage, assisting people in parenting their kids and raising their faith, and we want to be the best at that because that's going to be a great testimony to our world. But then what is it for the single person who has to try and navigate that very family space by themselves? And it was funny because when I did actually go to write the book, the senior pastor that I worked with, he's like, do we really need this book? Is there anyone who doesn't know how to do this? And I'm like, no, because you have me. The other churches don't have me. And so, but many churches, most churches are led by people who are married, and if they're, the proper Christians, they've probably been married since they're 19 and a half, and so that's like facetious, right? Don't quote me on that. But that's not the guide. But so they don't have an experience of adult singleness. And so the book, when I was writing it, my editor said, can you just tell me who your audience, your intended audience is, so we can kind of narrow down a sense of language. And so I narrowed it down to everyone, because this is a book that if you are single and you were to read it, I hope you would be super encouraged by it and find it affirming, and find there's, some language perhaps to some of the things that you've experienced or, and wondered kind of what was that about. Like, hopefully you get some affirmation and encouragement from the book. But if you are not a single person, my hope, and all the other single people's hope, is that you'll read it and you'll get a deeper understanding of what it is to navigate life as single, because we don't know what we don't know. And so this is the stuff that you don't know that you can know about what it looks like to support people who are doing singleness alone, singleness alone by themselves with no one else. All four of those people. Oh, goodness, is it lunchtime? All right. But I do encourage you to grab a copy of that. And I think probably the two groups that I've been most encouraged by, other than single people themselves, is parents of adult single children who maybe it's just some help to navigate what it means because you still remain their family, and their only family, and also leadership in churches and places, just to consider how your organisation actually is very family dominated, and what we can do about language and inclusion. So yeah, grab yourself a coffee and a copy. Wow, all the words and things. This is going to be an interesting session. So we've talked about making room for joy, and we've talked about this morning putting on our joy glasses of being able to view the lens to which we view trials and challenges. I had many of you come up to me after that session and thank you for clearing out your tear ducts. Here to help. So and can I say, I'm loving the feedback that you guys are giving me and the encouragement that is in that, because this is the whole point of what we're doing today, is whatever God is trying to say to you. And it's such a celebration for me every time I get to hear something else. So, feel free to bug me. It means it takes me a really long time to walk to the toilet, but I'm okay with the interruption. If I start jiggling though, just let me go, okay? So what we're going to talk about for this session though is thieves of joy, or things that steal our joy. So we kind of talked about, actually getting in there and sort of ferreting out the stuff that's taking space and making room for joy. And we've talked about looking at things differently so as to understand joy in it. But this session, we're going to talk about what is it that comes to steal our joy. And we're going to get ready to like, pew, pew, and, superpower it away, okay? So that's our goal for this session. And, the list is endless in terms of the types, because the enemy's a very creative guy as well, and he's trying to take our joy away from us. But what I want to start talking about first up is what I call, or what is known as, the scarcity mindset. Because I think it's often our own way of thinking about things that steals our own joy. Right? And because I can't tell everybody else to stop doing things to you that make you sad, I'm talking to you about what you can do to not steal your own joy. Right? The scarcity mindset is the belief that there'll never be enough. Now, this makes sense in terms of certain resources. So if we live in a drought or whatever, the scarcity mindset shifts how we manage that resource, because we have a sense that it is going to run out, and so it needs to be managed in a certain way. But when we talk about it more in the psychological sense, or in the way we think, attitudes, thoughts, the scarcity mindset is about thinking that resources like happiness and healthy relationships and success and attractiveness and laughter and intelligence and all those things, it's thinking those are limited. Right? Bless you. Which means that, because if we think those things are limited, it means that every time someone else gets some, that's less for us. All right? That's what the scarcity mindset looks like. That if, there's only a certain number of those things, every time someone else experiences one of those things, that's one less of it to go around, and I might miss out. Now, it's kind of, when you say it out loud like that, it sounds a bit weird, but it happens a lot. Referencing the singleness space. When someone gets married, suddenly we feel more single, right? As if there was like only 11 marriages happening this year, and now there's only 10, and now it's a numbers game, and somehow that person, that wedding that's happening, that marriage, means I'm now more single. Right? Or someone else has a baby, and there's sort of this, there's only like 11 babies being born this year, and now that's one less that could be mine, right? And again, it sounds really silly when you say it out loud, but I hear it constantly, and I feel it even sometimes in myself, it is the framework that we look at these things through, that something about what other people are having is robbing me of my chance to have it. Scarcity mindset. And so when we have this mindset, it feeds into this whole area of comparison and competition, because we need to be better than the others in order to get into the front of this pack that is all heading towards the limited supply of something, to make sure we get there first so we don't miss out. And it all becomes about comparison and competition, that we're racing to get to the front where this limited supply of happiness and success and functional families and good singing voices and the ability to keep plants alive and all those kind of things are being doled out, and we want to make sure we're right at the front of that list. And again, I keep saying, it sounds weird when you say it, but it actually is a mindset and a framework that drives a lot of our behaviour and our activity. So competition and comparison. Here's a quote from Brené Brown. She says that we spend inordinate amounts of time calculating how much we have, want and don't have, and how much everyone else has, needs and wants. And we are often comparing our lives, our marriages, our families and our communities to unattainable, media-driven versions of perfection, or we're holding up our reality against our own fictional account of how great someone else has it. Anyone? Sound a little bit familiar, a little bit close to home? Comparison leads us to use other people as our measure of success. And I mean, her comment there about social media, like, lean in, ladies, let me just give you a hint. Everything on social media is good. That's what social media is for, right? No one posts bad photos of themselves on social. No one posts, I mean, unless you're actually trying to then mock yourself or, the cake that failed or whatever. Like, that photo that you see of your friends on holidays, like, it only needed to be 1 second of sunshine for that photo to be taken. Do you know what I mean? I remember a friend of mine showing me photos, those adorable Christmas baby kind of thing, and they turn them into a bauble or something, and the baby's like asleep and it's like got reindeer ears, whatever it is. And they're like, my kid never stays that still. I'm like, they only needed to be still for 1 second. Like, they've captured a moment there. I had a friend who, he found me on Facebook. We went to high school together, and he goes, oh, Kim, you're just looking so great and so happy. I'm like, of course I am. It's Facebook. Like, all of the photos where I'm not looking like that, untag, delete, untag, right? That's what we do. And it's not and I honestly feel this, it's not a deception. It's our best foot forward. Like, that's okay. Like, I don't show up here dressed in my worst, right? We're always wanting to put, and do you like my dress? Yeah. But that's what we do, and it's okay, but we just need to recognize that that's what it is. This is not people's actual lives. This is the best of their lives. And so as Brené says here, we hold up our reality against this fictional account of someone else's life. Or I've heard someone else say that it's like our behind the scenes with someone else's highlight reel. We just got to be smarter than that, right? But when we're talking about comparison, what it causes us to do is, instead of running our race forward, we start looking sideways. Because it's not just about, am I getting where I need to go? It's, am I getting there first? Or am I ahead of someone else? And anyone who's been an athlete of any, standard, any training that you've done in running, what is the worst thing you can do for your running technique? Look sideways, right? So if you're doing this beautiful, right, and you're running this twists your body, it changes your gait, changes your aerodynamics, right? Everything shifts. It's the worst thing you can do. So, and that's exactly the same thing when we're talking about how we live our life. If we can look forward and run forward, we're going to run a much better race than if we're worrying about who's next to us and how they are doing. We waste our energy on competing, and also what it does is it reduces our goal in life to just be a little bit better than someone else. That's pretty low expectations, especially if you're running with, depends who you're running with, right? Really? We assume. And this is the other thing that happens, and this is a girl thing. I think it's a girl thing, and I'm not saying a stereotypical thing that only girls do, but it's the culture of girls. This doesn't happen in men anyway. So what we do is we assume that others are feeling like they're competing with us because, of course, we feel like we're competing with them, and then we don't want to look like we're competing with them. And so we hold back, and sort of pretend we can't do something or try and minimise it, or we don't offer what we have, or we don't speak too loudly about it. Has anyone ever experienced that in their life? Where you've actually, I think I could do this, but I reckon if I did, it would make other people feel uncomfortable. Anyone? I reckon I could lead that, or I reckon I could make that, or I could say that. But I think if I did, the people around me would actually, and sometimes we say things like this, oh my gosh, you're so good at that, you make me uncomfortable. Like, oh, you make such beautiful birthday cakes, it makes mine feel so bad. Oh, your house is so tidy, it makes mine feel so messy. Anyone? But what we're doing is just feeding into this competition culture that says something about how you're doing and how I'm doing just has to be about how we're doing in comparison to each other, rather than, are you doing the best version of you? Am I doing the best version of me? And so it shifts, it's something to really get our heads around what this idea of competition and comparison is doing to our capacity to experience the fullness of life and joy that God wants us to experience. We have to get our heads around this. It's like calling out the elephant that's in the room. Because we're competing with everyone else and assuming everyone is competing with us, then we compliment on the basis of competition. We say, oh my gosh, these biscuits are so nice. They're even nicer than my mum's. Yeah, as if that's your best compliment. Your mum's biscuits could suck. It's like, you know what? These are edible. Yay. You know what I mean? I don't know what your mum's biscuits are like, so how is that good for me? Or we compliment by, as I said, kind of conceding defeat in the competition that we think we're having, which is, oh man, like you just sang such a great song, I could never do that. As if like, okay, you get this point, right? You win in the singing competition, let's go have a bake-off, you know, whatever it is. This kind of fits into what I was sharing last night about the intimidation thing. I just feel like God's put this on my heart to share with us because this is an attitude, it's a mindset that is holding his girls down. It is holding us back, and we are all responsible for it because we are the ones that are sowing things into that culture and creating that climate that then we all are soaking in and we're all responding to, and we can change it. So this scarcity mindset leads to comparison and jealousy and envy and pride. Jealousy is a kicker. Jealousy will steal your joy faster than anything that is really fast. I didn't have an end to that analogy. Give me something. Faster than a speeding bullet. Gee, you guys aren't influenced by media at all, are you? Faster than a speeding bullet. But jealousy will steal your joy super quickly. There's a $12.5 billion advertising industry that knows how jealousy will drive you. Because it's completely, the machine of advertising runs on your jealousy. We're constantly bombarded with all these things that we don't have that other people have, and where we fall short, whether it's in our appearance, our success, what our kids are doing, the stuff we have, the lifestyle we lead. And the general message of advertising is you're not measuring up, but we have a product that will help you. We've got a skin cream that's going to help you. We've got a new piece of technology that will help you. We've got, clothes that is going to change your life. In Ecclesiastes, Solomon says that I saw that all toil and all achievement spring from one person's envy of another. This too is meaningless. It's a chasing after the wind. It's just something that we're never going to catch up to, and it's going to steal all of our energy and all of our joy. Jealousy steals our joy because it robs us of contentment. We're just never satisfied. While there's always something else out there that's better, faster, more, greater, we lose our capacity to just be happy with who we are and where we are. It robs us of our contentment. And here's the thing that, as I'm saying about, community of women particularly and what we're doing to add to the culture, jealousy stops us from celebrating other people. It stops us from celebrating other people. The scarcity mindset makes us think that everyone else's success is taking something, taking a piece from the success pie, and there's going to be less for us. So I can't even acknowledge your success because that might actually mean that you take the piece of pie. And so we hold back from saying it. I have a distinct memory, and I keep sharing this, to my own shame, but it's a good trigger for me to keep remembering. I remember sitting in my brother and sister-in-law's house, and we were eating food that she cooked because she's an amazing cook. And everyone was saying, "Oh, this is really delicious." And I remember thinking, I can't tell her that this is delicious because that's me making her think that I couldn't make one that was equally as delicious. Yeah, I know, I was an idiot, but come on. Some of you have thought the same thing though, right? Where you're like, if I say that hers is nice, is that kind of saying that mine is bad? And if I'm saying it in front of other people, am I telling them that I make bad whatever she makes good? And I'm saying it out loud, and as I say, it sounds weird, but I absolutely guarantee that some of this is happening in your minds and hearts all the time, and it shapes the culture that we move in. Not prepared to let someone else kind of win in this imaginary competition that we're apparently all in. Jealousy prevents us from embracing and maximizing the season that we're in, because jealousy causes us to look at another season of life or another way of doing life and then set that as our goal. And when I am like that, she's over there just kicking goals in life, but it's probably because she's got a great husband and a beautiful home. So when I have a great husband and a beautiful home, I'm going to kick goals in life. Rather than now, in whatever home I'm in and whatever type of husband I have or don't have, I'm going to try and kick goals here, right? And so we start saying if and when. If I get one of those, when I have one of them, when this season of life happens, when I'm working, when I'm retired, when I'm married, when I have kids, when the kids are older, when I have a house, when I have a bigger house, when I have a bigger house with no mortgage, and then I have another house, when I get the promotion at work, when. And we push everything off, this sense of, fulfillment and living our best life. We keep pushing it back and pushing it back and pushing it back. And in the meantime, we're wasting all these years beforehand that have got their own goodness in them, that, God is not surprised that we don't have the same house as somebody else. What he calls us to do doesn't require us to have what other people have, just what we have. Because he's really smart and he knows stuff. And he's not like, oh, Kim, I want you to do this. Oh, but I thought you'd have a husband. Ooh, this is awkward. Guess we're just going to have to reassess that. Calls in his helpers. Guys, she's not married. Told you about her. Right? This is not how God works, because he's not that weird, but it's also not how he works. Jealousy, it steals our joy. Another thing that steals our joy, as I say, I'm talking about all the things that are us, that steal from us. And it's pride. It's pride. Pride is a big joy stealer. Pride is thinking too much of yourself, essentially, thinking of yourself in a way that you oughtn't. Mostly we think of pride in the, me first, like out there, pride is boastful and it's arrogant and it's forceful and I'm the best and I need mine and that kind of thing. But how it's more likely to manifest, again, particularly for women? False humility. False humility. False humility is when we are absolutely unable to take a compliment. Now, women, this is you. I saw all of you. I know every one of you. This is you. Oh, I like your dress. Oh, this dress, well, it's a little bit this, and I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about that. I didn't know about that. That's false humility. If you say to me, I like your dress, has anyone said to me, you like my dress today? What have I said back to you? Me too, thanks. Isn't it cute? Right? You know what you've just revealed about yourself? Excellent taste, right? We can be friends. But I actually like my dress, which is why I paid money for it and why I put it on this morning to wear in public. So when you say you like my dress, this is all good news, people. I'm just thinking, sometimes I'm like, I know you, I heard you. Or, when someone presents food and they're like, oh, we made these cookies. Oh, they look amazing. Oh, well, they're a little bit thin. I didn't know about someone. Oh, the oven's a bit. And I'm like, oh, should I eat it? It's like, why are you presenting these to me if you're unconvinced of their edibility? Right? Because I actually made you the good cookies. Like I put the good things in and I followed did the right things with them so that I could bring them to you and you would eat them and they would be edible and enjoyable, right? Like this is this false humility thing. There's a text in scripture and it talks about how it says Ken and I led the worship because he was good at it, right? Like it's not a thing of pride to do what you can do, right? It is a false sense of humility that we hold back and get all, it's like I said last night, all the timidity stuff, and we think we're being humble. That is not humility. It is pride. And it will steal your joy. Because not only does it steal the fact you don't do what you were put on this earth to do, it steals you of that, robs you of that, but it also robs the community, the world, the place that you're planted of what it is that you have to offer. There's nothing good about that. You know, when people have said, oh, thanks for your message today, or I got a lot out of your message, I'm like, yes, because that's what I was hoping for. Like, oh, your message, there was words and then you finished. You know, it's like, I was hoping that something else would be going on there. And for me, it's such an encouragement because I'm like, I get to be part of what God's doing here. Like, I know you wish you were me, and some of you are like, no, but you do, because you have, like, I can't even explain to you, can't describe the sense of fulfillment and joy and satisfaction that comes from knowing that God is using me to say something to you that's going to change your life. Like, where else would I want to be? On a massage table. Maybe on a holiday. No, I was kidding. Where else would you want to be? Pride. False humility. We need to get better at giving compliments because we're not trying to win a competition, and receiving compliments because we're willing to acknowledge what God is doing in our lives and how He's using us to bless other people. We've got to get better at it. And so now this is going to shift all of your conversations over lunchtime, because someone will go, oh, I like your jacket, and you'll go, thank you. You watch, it happens, doesn't it? It happens. Everyone starts getting all super yeah, and test each other. You know, another way that pride actually manifests itself is in control. So when we seek to control, it's this sense we have that we actually have a bit more power than we really do. And we seek to control. And, you know, I can work hard enough, I can manage enough stuff, I can clean enough things that I will be in charge of what's happening here. I am the master of my destiny. It's pride talking, because you're not. No, you're not. It's for real. Joy stealer alert is control. And control is like a little, your dashboard of your car, a little red light that comes up. It should be telling you something is wrong here, because I think I can do this. I'm in dangerous territory. I remember having a conversation with some friends at work one time, and it was after one of those, horrendous school shootings in the States. And one of the ladies said, oh, it just makes me think that, that my kids are just not safe, just going out on the side. Like, it just makes me suddenly think they're not as safe as they were. I'm like, oh, they were never safe. So that was really helpful for her. Like, she was appreciative. Like, oh, thanks. That was the end of my counselling career. But they were never safe. Like, they're not any safer now or less safe now than they were then. Like, and I mean, again, don't mean to be the prophet of doom, but and some of you know this because you did everything to keep safe and still something bad happened to you. Right? You did everything to protect your kids and still something bad happened to them. You can do all you can to make your own world safe and put rubber things on the corner, and then they can walk out and then literally fall off the curb and break their leg. Right? So there's only so much we can do, but we think we're controlling more than we're actually controlling. And I think if we could actually release the idea that we are in control, we would have a greater sense of there being control, because we wouldn't be having to fight and wrestle and grasp and chase after it. As I say, the desire to control is a light flashing on your dashboard, trying to control what you can because something else is out of alignment. We start micromanaging. There's those more obsessive behaviours or dominating behaviours, trying to control what you can because you feel out of control at some other deeper level. So the questions, why am I obsessing over these details? Why am I worrying over these things and getting all pushy and demanding about finicky aspects? Like, why am I cleaning the grout in my tiles as if it's going to change the outcome of my day? right? Have to clean the tiles, because somehow that's going to make everything safer and better. Like, if I have clean tiles, everything will be good. Again, some of you are like, did you have cameras in my home this morning? Yes, I did. But when we're talking about this sense of God wanting to fill us with his joy, so much of what steals our joy is us. It's our unhealthy mindsets. It's lies that we've allowed to sink into our heart and settle themselves as truths. It's things we say to ourselves. It's things we say to other people. It's things we allow other people to say to ourselves that we actually draw down into our hearts and again, receive them as truth that steal our joy. And so in this moment today, I want us to just do a little bit of a self-audit about how we are impacting our own capacity to experience the fullness of joy. In Philippians 4, Paul says, rejoice in the Lord always. I will say it again, rejoice. The rejoice is like always be joyful, always have joy. Let your gentleness be evident to all. The Lord is near. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, make known your requests to God. So Paul says there is a way that you can actually rejoice in all things at all times, and a way that you cannot be anxious. In verse 7, he gives us the picture of what this is that can help us experience that, and that is the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, guards our hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. And if we were to think about it in context to our joy jar, it's something that I need the props department to just like create something amazing, because it's like this force field. The peace of God is like this force field around our hearts that seals in the joy, but allows the not joy to come out and only allows joy in, right? So it's like this, I don't even know what it is. It's like this in terms of like some spacey, sciencey thing, and right? The peace of God will guard our hearts. Will guard our hearts. And it's like, God's peace is standing at the top going, nah, flapping your batting that away. Yep, you in. No, yep. That's what guarding is. Like a security guard at the door. You're in, you're out. You're in. And then there's a security guard running around inside your heart going, you need to leave. You need to leave. You have weird dance moves. You need to leave. No. So, the peace of God will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. So we've got to change our mindset. In verse 8, it says, finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Think about such things. We have so much power to control what joy looks like in our own lives, because it's often our own mindsets that are stealing our own joy. Now, that's not a good idea, and I was just going to say stupid, but you shouldn't say stupid because it's a swear word. It's such a waste of our energy. It's such a waste of what God has for us, that we would be the ones that stop ourselves from receiving and experiencing the joy that he has for us. So the team are going to come up and we're going to sing a song it's going to be like a little bit of a different kind of end to this session, because we're going to sing a song of declaration, right? And this is a song about breakthrough. And so what I want us to do is to stand and to sing this and to declare with strength over our own lives, and then by, nature of how loud we sing, over each other's lives, that we are not going to allow ourselves to rob ourselves of joy. That we are going to align our way of thinking and our way of moving through life with how God sees us and how he desires we would see each other. We're not in competition, guys. There is plenty to go around. There is enough of everything in God for everyone and more. We are not in competition with each other. How you are doing compared to someone else is not the question God's asking you. How you are managing your sense of out of controlness with control, that's not how God intends you to live. How you are managing your sense of self and any inadequacy you have by, this false sense of humility, this standing back and pushing back and holding back, that's not what God has for us. We're going to sing about breakthrough. Let's stand to our feet. We're going to sing about breakthrough. We're going to sing about a God who can do the miraculous, has done the miraculous, and will do the miraculous in your life if you will allow him to. So let's sing that, and I'm going to come back and pray.